This is Picks on Politics with Dan Manarino.
And welcome to Picks on Politics, everybody. I am Dan Manarino, and there is a lot to cover in today's episode. So the countdown to the primary is certainly on. Early voting already underway in New Jersey with the governor's race at the top of the ballot there. And the New York primaries are also in full swing. Picks 11 hosting another debate this week between the candidates for public advocate. And there were no shortage of fiery moments. We'll talk about that. Primaries also mean it's summertime in the city. And today I'm sitting down with the new leader of the Parks Department, Commissioner Iris Rodriguez-Rosa. And there's a lot to talk about as the school year ends and summer ramps up. But right now we're going to begin with the big political news about a race not happening for another year. Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado announcing he is running for New York Governor, meaning he will likely face off against current Governor Kathy Hochul in next year's primary. And today, Lieutenant Governor Antonio Delgado is going on the record. And Mr. Delgado joining me. So great to have you back on Picks of Politics, sir. Good to see you. Can you hear me?
Thanks for having me.
Great to see you. And
I can hear you.
Okay, great, perfect. I do want to begin right now and talk timing, right? We're smack in the middle of this big mayoral race, a year out from the governor's race. So the question is, why announce at this point in time?
Well, at the end of the day, it's about making sure that I'm able to connect with folks and do so in a fashion that is extended and that gives me time to really build, as I have been building in my role as lieutenant governor, but more so from the standpoint of what is it going to mean to build a vision and articulate a vision that is distinct, that is bold, that is transformational, that hopefully will resonate with New Yorkers. And so the more time to be able to do that, the better.
You know, I've heard you say recently that you didn't feel that New Yorkers' voices were being heard from the moment that you became lieutenant governor. So I'm wondering, did you at one point, I guess, believe in what Governor Hochul's message was since you did join the ticket? And when did you realize that maybe it wasn't in alignment with your own messaging?
I was very hopeful when I became lieutenant governor and was independently elected to be lieutenant governor by the people of New York. You know, the idea of having the ability to govern differently, as the governor and I discussed, to do things differently in Albany, the notion that I was not a conventional lieutenant governor, having served 2 terms back to back in Congress and had delivered 18 bills, 10 under Trump and 8 under Biden, and somebody who was going to be able to continue to serve in that capacity, but the opportunity to come home and to serve the great state of New York, and to do so in a real partnership, as I understood it, as it was communicated to me, I was excited about that. And fundamentally, fundamentally, there was an absence over time in terms of a commitment to that process. And the absence of that decision-making process and my involvement in it also revealed to me an absence of a vision of how we move forward as a state, a bold vision, a vision that really can tackle the issues that people care about today.
So I guess, you know, and it's not flippant, but do you feel duped that you had meetings about what the role would be?
I wouldn't use words like duped, and I think that's kind of not really the issue, right? The issue is where we are now, right? And the issue where we are now is we have to get this right.
Okay.
You know, people all across the state are hurting. They can't afford where they live. And I don't think that the current approach, the status quo, is enough. I just don't think it's enough.
Understood. So, and you're not resigning, right, from the current position of lieutenant governor while you run?
No, the people of New York independently elected me to be in this position, and I'm not going to stop serving in this position.
I understand. So how does that impact, I guess, then your current role? Because I did talk to a couple of New Yorkers just walking down the street, and I was asked, letting them know I'm doing this interview, and they're questioning, what can the lieutenant governor do? What can you work with the governor on at this point in time? Since you are both elected to office, do you feel that you have a role and a voice at this moment to affect change?
My job from the very beginning has always been, the moment I became lieutenant governor, to travel around the state, to engage with New Yorkers, to listen to New Yorkers, to understand how to elevate their voices, their fears, their concerns. I traveled over 60,000 miles since I've been lieutenant governor, done over 1,000 events, visiting communities all across the state. And that doesn't change. The accountability piece, I've always stressed. Ever since I've been lieutenant governor, I've always tried to bring back ideas to the Capitol to make sure that I bring accountability to state government, and understanding also that that's not always going to be well received, right? Not everybody wants to hear things that might require change, that might require doing things differently. But make no mistake about it, that's why I'm in this position. I think the people expect their elected officials to be responsive to them, not to power, not to party, but to them. And that is what I'm going to do.
So I guess the question is in this conversation is when you often talk about the Democratic Party being fractured, right? Like I've heard you talk about this. How can New Yorkers expect that the lieutenant governor and the governor are going to work for the common cause at this point in time until the primary or whatever and run a government effectively when now you are running against each other?
Well, it's important to understand that my job fundamentally is to actually do as I've been doing, which is to continue to go out there in the state and engage as an independently elected official and to bring accountability to the state. I would be more than willing to continue to engage in that fashion.
Right, but doesn't that mean you have to bring that message that you hear from the folks on the street as lieutenant governor to the governor?
You would think that there would be opportunities to have those discussions, but keep in mind, the question is, were those opportunities there even before? And fundamentally, it doesn't change the nature of the role. It's also important to understand the nature of the role is about engagement, not just in the executive, it's with the legislative body, understanding what are the bills that we're looking at? What are the issues that all these different representatives are bringing to the table? And where I can lend my voice, where I can lend my support and my ability to articulate whatever these challenges might be. I'm a part of this process. And accordingly, I'm able to bring to bear what I hear from the people every single day, whether it's to the governor directly, whether it's to the legislative body, whether it's to you. I'm in a position where I can continue to elevate these issues and do so on substance, do so in a way that is grounded in good faith, with the understanding that there are folks out there who want to be heard. There are folks out there who want certain issues to be brought to the table that don't have access, that don't have a lobbyist, that don't have a special interest group per se. And they just want somebody in there who can elevate and lift up their voices. Yeah, I have a responsibility to meet them.
And I want to talk about some of those issues, right? Because that is the big moment right now. But I do want to ask, since you're talking about all of this, do you feel you have the ear of the governor? Because when is the last time you actually spoke about issues?
Oh, it's been a while since we've spoken. There's no question about that.
What's a while?
And again, in months. As I said before, so the fact of the matter is, I can't control that dynamic. I can try, but at the end of the day, it's a two-way street. What I can control is how I engage with the people. What I can control is my commitment level to the people. There's nothing personal in this from where I sit. From where I sit, I'm still lieutenant governor. From where I sit, I still have a responsibility to engage with the people. From where I sit, I still think that we could bring accountability to state government. Now, not everybody likes that.
Yeah. So what do you see as the big issue currently facing New Yorkers from downstate to upstate, right? Of course, affordability is top of mind for so many as we do our polling for other races. It's what?
It's massive. You're right.
Yeah, the affordability crisis. So how do you differ from the governor on it?
But in particular, it's housing.
Okay.
So I'll give an example around housing. We put a lot of our policy making in housing, and by that I mean the administration has done this, around tax credits and the idea that hopefully these tax credits get leveraged to build affordable housing. But at the end of the day, that can't be the approach that's going to solve every issue. 7 out of 10 New Yorkers are eligible for federal funding, federal rental assistance. Of course, the federal government is underfunding that program, but the state can step up. The state can step up and fill that funding and make sure that folks, 7 out of 10 who would be eligible otherwise, are actually supported for rental assistance. What are we doing? We have a $50 million pilot program. It costs you got penthouses that cost $250 million.
So what's your plan?
To have a statewide permanent rental assistance program. In addition to that, we should also have a statewide first-time homeowner buyer grant program. We should also leverage tax credits to enable long-term renters to purchase their space, to purchase their residence. This is how you build capacity from the state and invest directly into people who are in need and who are struggling to pay their bills when they don't have to be. No one should be paying more than 30% of their income on housing. And yet more and more people all across this state are doing so. Let's talk about child care. The governor has talked about universal child care. But at the end of the day, how are we going to get there if we're not willing to support child care workers? They make about $19 an hour. There are proposals to have a supplemental fund to make sure that our child care workers can afford to work and incentivize more child care workers. You can build all the child care facilities you want. Who's going to work there if no one's going to
give them a raise?
what their value is. You got to give them a raise. You got to support them. I'm not hearing that. Let's talk about health care.
We got to leave it there. We're out of time. I got you fired up. I got you fired up. We'll have you back. It's just the very beginning, early moments of this campaign. Mr. Delgado, I appreciate your time this morning. Come on back. We'll talk about all the other issues as the campaign moves forward, okay?
Thank you, Ben.
Great to see you.